Yeah, hello everybody. Welcome to another Kansas Missing and Unsolved podcast. I'm your host Ricky Zabruggi, and joining me tonight is Hope Chance from 7 Day Circle down there in Elkhart. How you doing, Hope?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just trying to get through the week.
I understand that.
As I was telling,
Thanks for letting me join tonight.
No, you're welcome.
Yeah, Rick, I'm over here too. Can you hear me loud and clear, man?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Derek's sitting off to the side there, so Derek's there also.
I'm producing. I was actually hired to produce this show. I was never supposed to be seen by the public. Hope's way better looking than me. But yeah, this is Hope. She does the podcast 7 Day Circle. I produce that show. That's her and May, her co-host. May might be hosting next week with Ricky.
Cool. Okay.
But yeah, we figured if you want to look for their podcasts on Apple or Spotify, it's just 7 Day Circle with Hope and May. But yeah, she's going to be here to help you out tonight, Rick.
Cool. Sounds good to me. Yeah, no, like I was telling you guys before the show, it's been a rough week. Yesterday was the 42nd anniversary of my dad's passing back in 1982 when I was 15 years old. He died of a massive heart attack at 39. And yeah, just kind of been a rough week, but I'm making it.
That's good.
Yeah.
I from May 24th until January, it's rough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys had made the before the show. I hope you lost your mom at 14.
14.
14, and Ricky, you lost your dad at 15. But they're both of your parents were 39, which is crazy young.
It is crazy.
It is.
Yeah, that's wild. Well, let's work together to find some people tonight. And anybody watching, share the show. Obviously, let everybody know that we're live and that we're here.
If we can see this on camera, I don't know, but there was my dad's very last driver's license that he had.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Was scheduled to be renewed that year that he died, but that's his very last driver's license. That's what Kansas driver's license looked like in 1982.
That's what my mom's looked like too. She died in 91, so
they should bring that look back. That's a great look. I like that.
I carry it in my wallet, and it's been in my wallet for 42 years. So every time I switch wallets, I get switched. So
it's crazy. Your dad died I'll be 42 in February. So your dad's been gone for quite a while, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
And my mom passed on June 6th of 91. So I mean, it's kind of crazy just meeting him for the first time, and we have so many similarities.
Yeah.
My mom's still kicking. She's 79 and still going strong.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and checks on me, sees how I'm doing, asks me if I'm doing all right, asks me if I need anything. Am I taking care of myself? It's like, Mom, I'm 57 years old.
But you'll always be her baby.
Right. Exactly. I'm the firstborn, the oldest. So, of course.
Ricky, stepping in real quick. What is the follower count at this week as far as the Facebook page?
Say it again, Derek.
What is your follower count at on the Facebook page right now?
Currently, it is at, drumroll maestro, 87,445. So since last week, we've already picked up over 400 more followers.
That's awesome.
Nice, bro.
Yeah.
So if you're out there watching, please share the show and help us locate some people. Ricky's got a big list of cases for every night. But Rick, go ahead and tell the audience about Jonas.
All right. Yeah, we covered him last week, and I thought, you know what, we haven't covered him in a while, so let's cover him again just to kind of get him out there. You know, make sure that he's getting out there. Just a second, I got to dive in here and grab his flyer real quick. I knew there was one I was forgetting, dagnabbit.
Also Oklahoma.
Yep, it is an Oklahoma case, and he's also a relative of Don Robin that watches this as well. So hopefully she's joining us tonight. But yeah, Jonas Summers missing from Tulsa, Oklahoma since July 23rd, 2019. 32 when he went missing. He's now 35. 6'1", 264 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. Has no known vehicle and no active cell phone. Again, he was 32 when he went missing. He's now 35. He's 6'1", 264 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. He is Native American. He does have several tattoos. Some can be seen in the photos above there on his arm and whatnot. If you have any information regarding Jonas's disappearance, or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Tulsa, Oklahoma Police Department at 918-596-9222 and see if we can't get Jonas located and back to where he needs to be. Excuse me.
It makes me feel incredibly old that 2019 was 5 years ago.
I know. Time flies.
It does.
It absolutely just flies.
So this is
comments real quick here. Got Ellen. Hey Ellen, how you doing? Roxanne Fisher down there in Oklahoma. Hey Roxanne. Hey Rodney, how you doing?
Where's Rodney at?
I'm not sure where Rodney's at exactly. Hey Esther, how you guys doing?
Hello.
Hey Rodney, how you doing? Oh, where's hey Rodney again?
Rodney's just
Here's Chris. Good evening, Rick and Derek. And here's Cynthia Renee Gonzalez's page. How you doing? Which I believe is Heather Berry is who that is.
Okay, and we're covering that case, correct?
Yes, it's on there too.
Okay, but this Jonas Summers case, obviously, 5 years ago, man. That's
Rodney Cox is in Ottawa, Kansas.
nice.
Cool.
No idea where that is, but it sounds fun.
Cool. Yeah, definitely share the show out there and let everybody know that we're here and what we're doing, and trying to get these missing people found and some information built up on these unsolved homicides. And
well, one thing I did want to point out, another back home media show we have is called the Dodgecast. It's recorded in a town called Anadarko, Oklahoma, and the town most of the crew that works on that show is Native. And as it says here, like this is a Native American who's missing. There's a problem with way more missing people when it comes to Native Americans and how many flyers there are available. Like that's something that's been a problem for a long time. And I've talked to the guys at Dodgecast. They all have full-time jobs and everything, but that's definitely a bottleneck for society. Is there's a lot of missing people in the Native American community that a lot of people just don't know they're missing.
Right.
Wow.
We got a few more jumping in here. Teresa Turnbow says hello. Julie Schoenberger says hello. And Rosalie Gonzalez says hello. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yep. Okay. Well, we'll keep going. If anybody has any information on Jonas in the Tulsa area, please give us a call. Not us a call. Give the police a call. That was 5 years ago. A lot of stuff happens. Go ahead, Rick, on this flyer.
Dana Jane Bruce, one we cover every week. We want to get some information going in her case and get her brought home. She's missing from Sedalia, Missouri since October 4th, 2008. She was 23 when she was missing. She's now 38. She's 5'2", 98 pounds, brown hair, green or hazel eyes. She was last seen at her children's babysitter's home in Sedalia. She left the children there earlier that day so she could go out for the evening. She returned at midnight and gave the babysitter more money and asked her to watch the children for the rest of the night. Dana was seen at Malone's Bar on Main Street with the young man driving a late model Ford F-150 earlier on the night of her disappearance. She left with that man at 11:30 p.m. Police have identified the man Dana was with on the night she vanished. He traveled to Atlanta, Georgia after her disappearance, and police questioned him about Dana after he was arrested there on unrelated charges of marijuana possession and driving on a suspended license. Authorities have not named him publicly, but they are calling him a person of interest in her case. He told his questioners that he and Dana parted ways after they left the bar, and he never saw her again after that. She left all of her belongings behind, including her hairbrush and toothbrush. She does not have credit cards, debit cards, checking account, cell phone, or a car. Again, at the time of her disappearance, she was 23. She's now 38. She's 5'2", weighs 98 pounds, has brown hair that was colored brown at the roots, black at the ends with red highlights, and green or hazel eyes. She was last known to be wearing a black shirt with the word Rebel and silver lettering on the front and blue jeans. Dana has a tattoo of a teddy bear with wings and the name Dylan on her upper left arm. She is blind in her left eye. She has a 2-inch scar along her lower spine and a staple scar on her right shoulder. Her ears are pierced one time each. you have any information regarding Dana's disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call the Sedalia, Missouri Police Department at 827-7823 or 660-826-8100, or the Missouri State Highway Patrol at 573-526-6178, or they have a toll-free number 866-362-6422, and see if we can get Dana back home and back to her family where she belongs.
Absolutely.
Hope, this is go ahead and read that. This is how many days Dana's been missing.
5,744 days.
She has
Goodness
kids. Have not seen her in that long. Hope, me and Ricky are both dudes. You were a 23-year-old lady. Like, how easy does this kind of stuff happen? Because I know I went to the bar last weekend and nothing bad happened, but I saw like a lady just leaving the bar and like two dudes like followed her all the way till like she was, and they weren't like gonna hurt her, but like how bad is it out there being a young girl?
You know, it even at 47, I don't go to a bar by myself. It's scary out there. You never know who's going to follow you and
Right.
what their intent is. You know, and
Definitely.
at 23, a lot of people aren't a whole lot of streetwise, you know,
No.
and they don't pay attention to their surroundings. You know, for any woman or man, really, because you never know, you need to pay attention to your surroundings. Make sure you know who's around you and what their intentions are, or at least keep an eye on them.
Right.
Yeah. Ricky, do you know if Dana's ever received like much like media coverage outside of our show, and maybe Annette?
That,
Well, Annette wouldn't even cover her because she's Missouri.
right. That I don't know. That'd be a question to ask Ellen. Ellen, do you know if there's been any other media coverage for Dana out there aside from what we've been doing? I mean, I know Tatum had been covering her too during the time that we weren't doing our show, but other than that, I'm not real sure. She said yes. Okay. Did it make national media or just like local Kansas City type media or?
Well, one
Sedalia
thing
media?
that I because Hope, she's new to this, but one thing that's always bothered me is that, you know, because Ricky only puts on the flyers what he's told to put on the flyers. He's not just making stuff up, but it does mention the guy that she was last seen with, and to me, like the first 30 times you read this flyer to me, I was like, it was that guy. But like you've said, I think it was so you or Ellen said that guy's pretty much been cleared, right?
Right. I mean, apparently they still consider him a person of interest. So,
Okay.
Right.
Which tells me he's not very cleared. You know what I?
Right.
If that was me and I didn't do it, and they said I was cleared, I would be like, would you please stop saying that story? Then you know what I mean? Like I feel like
Right.
maybe he's
Right.
not so. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see here. And Ellen was saying, "Thank you for sharing Dana's flyer every week. You're very welcome." And then Justice for Cynthia Renee Gonzalez says, "Yes, I agree with what she just said. It's a scary world out there. It definitely is."
Absolutely.
We just had a situation yesterday morning early here in town where some guy went into the quick shop over on West Crawford, went in there completely naked and started beating people with a stick.
Ricky, I apologize for that. I don't know why you're. I'm just kidding.
Well, they arrested him and stuff, but you know, hey.
Yeah. Ricky, I'll have you do all comments.
Must be Dawn. She said, "I just got here. Thank you for sharing Jonas's poster. You're very welcome." That must be Dawn.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have you. Any comments that we get, go ahead and pin them on the screen so people, because
Okay.
people from different outlets won't see them. And then I'll handle the flyers, and we can get through this. This is
Okay.
Alexander Perez. As everybody knows, Ricky will tell you in a second, there was an arrest recently, but still have not talked to our source. But it's not from lack of try. Our source is just relocated. So he says he's going to call me whenever he can. But we're still working on a time. But go ahead, Rick.
Really? Oh, you must be okay. Well, I think I know who you're talking about when you say your source, but that's cool. Hopefully, I mean, it'd be cool to get some updates on what's going on with the court case and everything, because I haven't heard much. I mean, I haven't seen anything in the media or anything like that. So, I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, I'll touch on the arrest too here in just a second. But Alex Perez is missing from Ulysses, Kansas since December 1st of 2020. He's 35 when he went missing. He's now 38. He's 5'11", 235 pounds, black hair that he shaves nearly bald, and brown eyes. He called a family member on the phone on December 1st and said he'd be coming to their home to wash laundry. He never arrived at that family member's home in Ulysses. He's not been heard from or seen by family or friends since then. Alexander had been staying with family and friends prior to his disappearance, and it's believed he may still be in the local Ulysses area, or he may be in the Garden City, Kansas, or surrounding area. Again, at the time of his disappearance, he was 35. He's now 38. 5'11", weighs 235 pounds, has black hair that he shaves nearly bald and brown eyes, has a tattoo of a bumblebee on his face underneath his left eye, has Perez tattooed on one of his arms. He has a tattoo of a cross on a chain across his chest. If you have any information regarding Alexander's disappearance, you know of his whereabouts, please call the Grant County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 620-356-3500 or the Ulysses, Kansas Police Department at 620-356-4600 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And as we were talking about, they did arrest 44-year-old Oscar Corrales of Garden City on a warrant for second-degree murder connected to Alexander's death. He's also arrested for racketeering, possession of meth with intent to distribute, possession of drug paraphernalia, and theft. The additional charges were based on an investigation by the Garden City Police Department and the Finney County Sheriff's Office. He was arrested in the Finney County Jail where he was being held on unrelated charges, and of course all suspects are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, and the Finney County Attorney's Office is expected to prosecute the case, and the investigation is ongoing. So that was from a KBI release from back in December of 2023.
Wow. I just dug up the voicemail. Do you want me to play that?
Yeah, if you got it.
Okay, so missing since December 1st, 2020. This voicemail was sent to our source December 6th, 2020.
I don't know, man. I'm supposed to be going back early morning to go get some shit and then go get some other stuff down there and bring it back down here, but I don't even know, man. It's been wild down there. It's been crazy. Fucking been held at gunpoint and robbed and tried to beat me up. It's a bunch of crazy shit going on in GC, man.
Wow.
Last
Yeah, that's
transmission
kind of
to the
an
world.
call or message.
Yeah. And the thing is like we've talked about this.
Asking, is the person who was arrested on Perez still incarcerated? As far as I know, he still is.
Yeah. So
I haven't heard anything otherwise.
My source, he used to watch the show Candy. He goes by Candy. That's not like his real name, but he went to the trial and he said that he learned a lot about as far as like what the state knows and what they're trying to prove. And that's what I'm trying to get him on the phone for. But the tragedy is like the state is pursuing, homicide charges, but our flyer still says missing because nobody knows where he is, dead or alive,
It's so sad. I can't imagine having a family member out there and not knowing whether they're alive or not,
Yeah. I'm going to aim this just right at you just a little bit more. There you go. Yeah. Ulysses is what, an hour from here?
Yeah. I mean, this is like close to home.
Yeah, very close to home. And the thing is also is I never realized this, but like Ulysses is like way bigger than Elkhart.
It is. And, just from the transmission, he was on the shady side of life.
Yeah.
And in that world, it is very, very scary.
Yeah.
Especially for a man. I mean, it's not so bad for a woman, but it is really scary for a man because, men get jumped all the time.
Yeah. And this is something that's been said before on this show, and it's not so much speculation. We heard it from sources of, it was kind of made clear that he had some legal issues with living on the shady side. But if you listen to the voicemail, the last transmission, he said that he went to get some stuff. So to me, it just screams like maybe this guy was still in the life because he was being told to be as an informant. You know what I mean? Which is a whole nother topic. But like, to me, I feel like it's a bad world. And the thing is I've been to Ulysses a bunch of times. I used to live in Garden City and it was just crickets at night. I didn't see anything bad at all. But the truth is it's out there,
It's out there. I mean, even in the smaller towns, it's there. You just either you turn a blind eye to it, or if you're not in that world, you don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
wild stuff. Ricky, we got any comments? Travis Graham says definitely
He
sucks.
said it definitely sucks, and that was in reference to the not knowing about the family, the family members' whereabouts. He's actually the brother of Haley Davis.
Oh, okay. We're covering her tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. This is another one. Dietrich Foster. I've been meaning to get a hold of my source from this case. It seems like there's not a lot of information coming from PD about Dietrich's case, but she's telling me, my source is telling me that there's a lot of chatter in comment sections of social media.
Really?
Which is a whole nother, onion to peel as far as like how much validity that stuff has. But Ricky's going to read you this flyer: $5,000 governor reward for anybody who's motivated by money for some reason. Ricky's going to tell you all about Dietrich.
Okay. Dietrich Foster is missing from Independence, Kansas since April 12, 2020. He was 37 when he went missing. He's now 41. He's 5'9", 190 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. Dietrich was reported missing on May 12th. He was last seen around April 12th in Independence. KBI agents and detectives from the Independence Police Department are conducting the case as a homicide based upon findings during the investigation into Dietrich's disappearance. Again, at the time of his disappearance, Dietrich was 37. He's now 41. He's 5'9", weighs 190 pounds, has black hair and brown eyes. Dietrich has a scar on his chest from heart surgery and a scar on the right side of his nose. He has the following tattoos: a cross on his right forearm, the astrological sign for Gemini on his right arm, 3 dice on his arm, the name Dejeuner on his arm, and the word foo on his abdomen. If you have any information regarding Dietrich's disappearance, his whereabouts, please call the Independence, Kansas Police Department at 620-332-1700 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And as Derek alluded to, there is a governor's reward of $5,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for the disappearance and suspected murder of Dietrich Foster. So if you have any information at all, no matter how small you think that information might be, get that called in and see if that might be just what they need to bring him home.
So dark place to go, but does anybody know what it takes for... Because in me and Ricky's world, this guy's just missing. That's all the flyer says. He's missing. But like in Alexander Perez's case, they've charged somebody with homicide. They don't have a body. In this case, they're heavily using verbiage to say that they believe there's been a murder. Like, what do you think it takes, Ricky or Hope, to get the police to basically treat it as an active like homicide when they don't even have a body? Like, what do you think it takes to get there?
That I don't know. Repeat that for me one more time.
So basically, in Dietrich's case and in Alexander's case, it's like the authorities are alluding that they believe that they are no longer with us and they have been, killed maliciously, but there's no body. You know what I mean? Like, what does it take for the police to basically not say it, but kind of say that they think this person's been murdered?
I'm not sure what information they have been able to uncover, but whatever they did uncover, it must have led them to believe that they were murdered. So I'd be interested to know what they have. I mean, did somebody give them that information, or did they find physical evidence to support that? I mean, I don't know.
Right. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of where it goes from a missing to a possible homicide or whatever, is that they found either physical evidence or some kind of evidence to point to that, direction.
Yeah, that I don't know. But no, I'm just saying, I'm glad I was never into bars. It's just awful that she's been missing all this time. Did she have a child? I think she's referring to Dana Bruce, and yes, she does have a child, yes.
Did she have 1 or 2?
Yeah, I think 2, I believe.
I think she had 2, yeah. Which, that was so long ago. Those kids have got to be like grown now,
I can tell you that Detective Joe Campbell of the Tulsa Police Department said they consider Jonas willfully missing unless evidence to the contrary is found. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, thank you for that, Don. That
is a thing, willfully missing. But I mean, even if you're willfully missing, if you're going to do that, you should tell at least one person you're safe, You don't have to give them your
missing for over, not quite a year, or no, for almost 5 years. So how's that willfully missing if you've been missing that long?
I mean, it's happened. I saw that Unsolved Mysteries, when they went to Netflix, they did a show about a guy. His family was looking for him, and then they found the guy, and he was just like, "No, I don't want to live there." He just like basically left. So like it can happen. There is such thing as willfully missing, but yeah, in that situation, who knows?
And Ellen says yes. Dana has 2 children. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And Dawn's saying no way he loved his kids. So he wouldn't. She's saying he wouldn't willfully have went missing since he didn't. He wouldn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it is a thing, but it's not really a thing. Like it doesn't happen. Like yeah, I mean you can ghost people, but usually you'll keep in contact with somebody. Like to just go radio dark. That is weird.
Yeah, and I mean I've talked to, like, when I was in Kansas City, just visiting on a school thing, I sat and visited with a homeless guy, and he just said he just decided he was going to leave, and that was it. He didn't tell nobody. He didn't want nobody to find him, and he hadn't been in contact with any of his family in like 15 years.
Wow.
And I was like 14 when I talked to him, and I was like, how could you just like go away? And he goes, I was just done with everybody, and I couldn't handle it no more. So,
Wow.
I mean, it does happen, but, usually if there's especially young kids involved, it's really unlikely unless they don't have contact with those kids or something like that. But, it's crazy for somebody to just up and disappear.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And this is our
Cynthia
first
Renee
unsolved
Gonzalez.
homicide. Oh, what was that?
I just said yeah, Cynthia Renee Gonzalez.
Oh, yeah. That's our first unsolved homicide of the night here. Cynthia Renee Gonzalez. This was down in Arlington, Texas on September 22nd, 1991. She was reported missing to the Arlington, Texas Police Department on September 22nd, 1991. Her body was discovered in a creek bed off County Road 313 in Johnson County, Texas. It was later determined that Cynthia died from multiple gunshot wounds. Cynthia was reportedly at her apartment with her boyfriend when her husband stopped by to deliver their daughter for a weekend visit. Sometime later, Cynthia left for an appointment without her customary bodyguard. She was never seen again. Serial killer Kenneth Allen McDuff was looked at in connection with Cynthia's death. Jim Ford, longtime Arlington police officer and renowned homicide investigator, had looked at McDuff in connection with Cynthia's case for going on 18 years. He was never able to make a match or a mismatch. McDuff was believed to have abducted a victim from a car wash in Austin, Texas. Cynthia's car, a 2-seat Pontiac Fiero, was seen parked at a car wash in Arlington the day she disappeared. There were similarities in the Austin case and Cynthia's case. He kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and killed his victim in a car wash in Austin. He dumped the bodies of several of those victims in rural areas. He killed several victims by shooting them. Investigators could not place McDuff in the Arlington area and could not determine whether he was out on the streets at the time, but could not find him as being incarcerated at that time either. Other persons of interest have come up and have been cleared as well. McDuff has since been ruled out by DNA testing. If you have any information regarding Cynthia's death, please contact Sergeant Blake Ritchie at 817-459. I believe we have a different detective's name now. 5772. If you wish to remain anonymous and possibly receive a reward of up to $1,250, please call the Toronto County, Texas Crime Stoppers at 817-469-8477 and see if we can't get some justice for Cynthia and her family and friends. And her page is saying, thank you for posting Cynthia's flyer again. Much appreciated. I talked to the detective again yesterday. No new updates yet. Not that I can share, that is.
Right.
Okay. And Dawn was saying also he was super close with his sister too. I know he would have told her something. Yeah, I'm sure he probably would have. I did some more research on Kenneth McDuff also, and he did more than just shoot his victims. He also earned the moniker the broomstick killer, because not only would he rape and kill his victims, but he would also rape them with a broomstick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There are some sick individuals out there these days.
Oh, yeah.
Even back
Yeah.
then, I guess,
Well, it was weird because back in the time he was doing this stuff, Texas was having a problem with overcrowding into prisons, so they were letting some of their inmates go, and he happened to be one of the ones that was let go that should have never been. So because of them letting him go, he was able to continue killing.
Oh, wow.
So But eventually they did rearrest him and sentenced him to death, and he was executed. So
It's really easy to watch these documentaries where they cover like police and how things happened in the 90s and stuff, but I don't know. You got to realize they were just human beings without smartphones. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't, it was a different time. You know what I mean? Like, there was just, you know, this information is just so abundant in 2024, you know, like there's almost too much information out there.
right.
Yeah.
So like I could see how stuff could slip through the cracks, but 11,967 days she was slain.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a long time for any of her friends or family to wonder, you know, what happened.
And Dom's saying, dang, that's how Jeffrey Dahmer met his end. And he met a pretty violent as well. He was beat to death by a fellow prisoner.
You know, I've never really deep dive on how he passed. I just know, like, I know that it happened, you know, in the facility, and it was involved with like a.
He was beat to death by a fellow prisoner, and I think if I remember right, the prisoner that beat him to death said Jesus told him to do it.
I believe that's right. I remember hearing something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good.
Not at all.
Okay, Hope's going to read some information for you. This is currently what we're dealing with. Yep. So current missing Kansans, and then read the one on the left.
254 juveniles
And then on the right.
and 424 adults.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people
right
for just
now as we speak.
one state. I mean, can you imagine what it is all over?
It's a lot. I try to post that every week, and it seems to float around those numbers. Like the juvenile one goes up and down more because you do have people, you know, kids that are just like taking off, you know, like they're not necessarily like kidnapped or something. They're just taking off, which is still, we don't recommend, you know, people just taking off into the night.
Absolutely not.
Call
It's
somebody.
scary out there.
Rick, you got any comments for us?
Let me look here. And Don was saying that the broomstick thing happened too. So I heard, yeah, like I said, I did some research and yeah, it's documented. He did. And Justice for Cynthia Renee Gonzalez says, yes, too long someone thinks they got away with murder. Well, they may think that, but with the advancements in DNA and everything, there's a lot of older cases that are getting solved. So
yeah. Well, I
and
hope.
Don says so many, yeah, a lot.
Yeah, so many. Talk about our buddy Kenny.
All right, this is a Salina case here. I just have to locate him on my screen here. There he is. Missing from Salina, Kansas, November 4th, 2019. He was 69 when he went missing. He's now 74. He's 5'9", 175 pounds, gray hair and blue eyes. Sometimes Kenny uses his last name Brown as opposed to Rychek. He does suffer from diminished mental health capabilities, and he is on disability, but has not tried to access his money since he was last seen. He may have family in northwest Kansas, possibly around the Colby area. He was last seen at the Gospel Mission in Salina. He left there and hasn't been seen or heard from since that time. He doesn't have a cell phone, a vehicle, or any identification. His main mode of transportation was his bicycle that he rode around and pushed around to pick up scrap metal and sell it at the scrapyard. And again, at the time of his disappearance, Kenny was 69. He's now 74. He's 5'9", weighs 175 pounds, has gray hair and blue eyes. If you have any information regarding Kenny's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210, or Crime Stoppers at 785-825-8477, or text SA Tips to Crimes, which is 274637, or visit www.pds.salina.org and follow the Crime Stoppers link to submit a tip that way, or you can call at KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can get Kenny located and back to where he needs to be.
Absolutely. You know, it's worrisome anymore with things the way they are and, you know, technology. But if, you know, like the older generation doesn't necessarily know how to use that stuff. And then if you're suffering from, you know, mental health issues, it's really scary out there because there's so many people that take advantage of people like that, you know, like me.
Yeah, it's like we kind of like so, and it's no, there's no pointing or fingers, but Kenny was kind of, he seems like to me like a guy that was very massively in his routine, and it seems like he just had to move. And again, I don't think it was like malicious, but like basically he moved, I think, because of a construction thing that was going on. But I think just this is the lesson here is people like Kenny, their routine is so paramount to them, you know, being around. And you just say, hey, you live somewhere else now, that could really throw a wrench in somebody's, you know, even somebody without mental health capabilities. If you showed up at their house one day and said, hey, you now live over here, that would really throw any human being for a loop. You
It
know what I
would.
mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The thing that gets me is, was it last year, year before, I can't remember now, where they found that partial skull out on West Magnolia off in a creek bed, which is just literally just up the street from where Catherine Adam went missing. But the Gospel Mission where Kenny was staying isn't too much further down the road to the south from there.
Absolutely.
And they've never
not.
been able to identify that partial skull. They said they couldn't pull enough of a DNA profile to identify it. So, I mean, that's in the back of my mind all the time is whose skull is that?
Are they 100% sure it's human? They can't get any DNA profile from it?
And they said it was human.
No,
they just couldn't pull enough DNA out of it to get a complete profile, they said. But
yeah.
So I'm wondering if they've ever gone back out and searched for more remains to try to get more DNA. I don't know.
Hope, have you ever heard of the Catherine Adam case? She drove the She's Got Legs van. You might not have heard. I never heard of it until Ricky showed. Ricky, if you send me that flyer, we can do that one tonight.
Okay.
But yeah, a pretty interesting case. Again, a long time ago. The reason it's so eerie to me is one of the pictures that like it's famous, like in like the true crime world, like one of the pictures on her flyers, the most predominant and most recent picture of her was taken from like CCTV from a gas station she went into.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like backing out of the door saying, you know, it looked like she was saying bye to whoever's working there. And they just still framed it. And then she ended up, her flyer says missing, but like if you read through it, they basically say like a lot of blood at the crime scene, but no body. And I think, what was it, Rick? We'll get to her flyer, but there was like 50 miles put on the van before they found it. So to me, like 60, she would have had, at least on the initial day, she would have had to been 25 miles from. I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to do the math here.
When was that?
Ricky's going to send that over right now.
I sent it to you.
Wow.
Okay.
It was in April of 93. Yeah, I mean, even though that skull was found that close, it said it had been sitting there for some time. But, you know, I mean, an animal could have picked it up from somewhere else and carried it there and dropped it there. I mean,
absolutely.
We just don't know. We just don't know.
What year was the massive flooding in your area, though?
It was 93. We had a lot of flooding in 93. Had a lot of rain that year. I was working at Boston Truck Plaza at the time.
Would that rain have been before or after Catherine Adam went missing?
No, it was probably, I think it was before, during, and after, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I think it was, you know, during those that whole time frames. I really think that rain probably, you know, hurt a lot of the investigative effort in her case. I'm sure it probably destroyed a lot.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble downloading it, but let me get it going. I think I'm having some issues with the old PC over here, buddy.
Uh-oh.
You can add it, Rick. You should be able to add it to the studio. Just click that add button, because for some reason it's just not showing up.
What did I think about it? Let's see here. Let's put it in there.
Just add overlay. I don't know why that's not showing up for me, man. That's weird.
That's weird. It's in there.
Okay. Oh, I got it going. I think I got it. Oh, you got it in there? Okay, cool. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. There you go. Jeez.
Okay. That's another Salina case, obviously. Catherine Adam, missing from Salina since April 29th, 1993. She was 35 when she went missing. She's now 66. She's 5'4", 120 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. She was last seen at 4:30 in the morning on April 29th, 1993, at the Quick Shop convenience store in the 1700 block of West Crawford in Salina, Kansas. She drove a white full-size Ford van with that blue on the side that says she had legs written on the sides. Or she's got legs, not has. I'm going to have to fix that. I just quoted what they were saying in the article or whatever. Her van turned up abandoned at 5:45 p.m. the day after she disappeared at Russell's Restaurant in the 600 block of West Point Boulevard. The restaurant was closed for remodeling at that time. The van was spattered with mud on the outside and blood-soaked on the inside. A large amount of blood was also found on the ground at the storage unit in West Salina, where Catherine, the saleswoman for the Legs Hosiery Company, picked up stock each morning. But there was no sign of her at either place, and she's never been heard from again. Police speculate someone attacked Catherine when she went inside the storage unit. It appeared they interrupted her in the process of loading the merchandise in her van, leaving the door of the unit open. Catherine was separated from her husband at the time of her disappearance and had a teenage daughter. Her case remains unsolved, and foul play is suspected. As a matter of fact, they've reclassified her case based on the blood evidence in the van and at the storage facility as a homicide, because they said they feel like that with that amount of blood loss, she couldn't have survived the injuries. So if you have any information regarding Catherine's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210 or Crime Stoppers at 785-825-8477, or you can text SA TIPS to crimes, which is 274637, or go to www.pd.salina.org and follow the Crime Stoppers link to submit a tip, or call the KBI at 785-296-4017 or 800-572-7463 and see if we can get some information on Catherine's case and get her found and brought home.
Absolutely. And with any and all these cases, even if you think it's not important, the smallest details could lead to a big break in any of these cases.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I promise you, every big case that's ever been solved, like had to do with somebody just saying something they thought didn't mean anything, and then like 4 detectives are like, "What did you just say?" Like it is
right.
That is how it works. There is all puzzles with a missing piece. All they need is one piece to make it go together.
Like I've always said, it could be just a small little tidbit of information, but they want to be in a huge piece of what they need to put those pieces together.
I think it's wild that Salina is 5 hours from here.
Yeah.
And like we never heard of this, like it's just like it's wild that this is something this brutal and this heinous happened like 5 hours from here in Elkhart, and like we never heard about it.
Yeah.
That's the thing that drives me crazy is, cases like Catherine's, like Kenny's, like some others we'll be covering shortly. You never see hardly anything in the media or on the Salina Police Department's Facebook about, this case is still open. We're still looking for information in this case. If you have anything, call. You never see anything like that. It's like we're the only one that keeps making sure these cases don't get forgotten.
And that's really sad because
I make sure they don't get forgotten.
Yeah. If I went missing, I would hope that there'd be somebody out there that was, I don't know, at least interested in finding what happened to me.
Right. Same here.
They got families, they got kids,
Yeah.
people need to know.
Definitely.
It's a wild case.
It's like it says she's got a teenage daughter that, she's not teenage anymore, but back then her daughter was still a teenager, and I'm sure her daughter would like to know. So, yeah. And this one's Rochelle Hammond, and she's missing from Moscow, Colorado since August 15, 2019. She was 30 when she went missing. She's now 35. She's 5'6", 120 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. She was last seen walking away from her Moscow, Colorado home. She left all her belongings behind, including her phone, her identification, her medication, her car, her computer, her tools, and her pet dog. She only had been living in the area for about 3 weeks prior to her disappearance. She'd previously lived in the Columbus, Ohio area. She may be living homeless. Although police can find little evidence in her disappearance, her mother believes she did not leave of her own accord and may have been a human trafficking victim. She does suffer from bipolar disorder and schizophrenia and has been prescribed medication for her conditions, which she left behind. Rochelle's nose is pierced. She has numerous tattoos, including the phrase "Live like a lion" on her upper chest, a star behind her ear, a skull on the back of her wrist, stars on the inside of her forearm, a cat with a bong on her shoulder, and other tattoos. And you can see some of them in the photos down there at the bottom there. And she was last known to be wearing a black tank top, khaki shorts, black Nike shoes, and a silver circular barbell in her nose. If you have any information regarding Rochelle's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Alamosa County, Colorado Sheriff's Office at 719-589-6608 and see if we can't get information as to where she's at and get her back home.
Ricky, do you is 988 nationwide?
Yes, it is.
Do you know much about 988?
About 988?
988.
No.
Hope, tell him what 988 is.
988 is a helpline for, like people that have suicidal thoughts or mental health issues, and they just can't seem to get out of where they're at, or they need help. You can
Right.
call 988 from any phone, cell phone, landline, whatever, and it's nationwide. And you call and you talk to people, and they can get you in touch with localized, facilities or people to help you more local, but it is nationwide, and it's 24/7 all the time. And I know around here we've got 3 of our towns in our county have buildings that are dedicated just to the 988 number.
Okay.
But I'm not sure how it is all over,
And
but
that's like essentially like it's like a little trailer house looking thing, and inside there's just a phone, right? Like,
yeah. And you can't make any other kind of calls. As soon as you pick up the receiver, it automatically sends you to somebody that works on the helpline, and then they get you to whoever, like around here it would be like Ulysses to the Compass Behavioral or somewhere like that. They get you the help, or they, if you're in real stress, they can, get the law enforcement, to you, or paramedics, or whatever it may be that you need at that moment. And, it's a helpline for anybody. If you're just having a bad day and you just don't know if you can make it through the day, call, talk to them, just let them know what's going on, and they'll help you. They're there for help.
And the reason it's important
before.
Yeah, the reason to bring it up too is like while you were reading, I pointed to Hope where it says bipolar, which I'm bipolar. I don't know if
I'm
me and
bipolar
Hope
too.
we're both polar. So like just then I'm just like, gosh, I know what it's like to be 30 and not right in the head, and that's very scary. So that makes me. But then you throw like schizophrenia on there, like you look here at Rochelle, and every time we've covered this flyer the last 4 years, it breaks my heart because like I feel like it's one of mine. It's somebody who is trying to navigate life with a broken brain, which is very hard to do. And
Yes.
so like it really just I wanted Hope to tell everybody about 988 because like that's something that potentially could save people that are in a bad spot and aren't making the greatest decisions. Maybe they can call 988 and get some help.
Absolutely. It's a wonderful thing. I'm glad that I've finally found out about it, because there's been times that I've needed help and I didn't want to bother my family or my friends because I felt like a burden. These people don't know you. You can call and talk to them, and they'll help you.
I'll work up a post and post that.
Thank you.
Miranda Hunt. I'm gonna check comments real quick.
This is Miranda Hunt, which we made a couple other flyers for her in the past. She's been missing since June 17th of 2024 from Topeka, Kansas. She's 15. She's 5'6" to 5'9", 170 pounds. Brown hair with blonde in it and blue eyes. If you have any information regarding Miranda's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Topeka, Kansas Police Department at 785-368-9200 or KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can get Miranda located and back to where she needs to be.
I remember what it was like being age 15 and, life being crazy.
Mm-hmm.
As a parent, because I have a daughter that's 15, I would be going crazy, with worry. And
Well, Rick, real quick, you said, have you made a flyer for Miranda before?
For who?
Have you made a flyer for Miranda Hunt before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so repeat runner, basically.
I believe so. Yeah.
Is it at all possible? Again, I don't know Miranda Hunt from out. Is it at all possible this is a foster situation?
I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Okay, because usually when we have like the Topeka area, I noticed a trend. We'd have repeat runners, but then I started thinking about, well, these are foster kids. So Hope, you talked earlier, when you're 14, you have to go live with somebody new because your mom was on. Do explain what's going through a 15-year-old's brain when you're, and we don't know if this is Miranda. We're just saying like in general, what goes through your head when you're 15 and you now have new roommates and you had no say in it.
I was lucky. My grandmother took me in after my mom passed, but I have she's like a daughter to me that, because some things were going on, she got taken to Topeka, matter of fact, and put into a foster home. And I've had other friends in foster care, and it's really hard. Even if your home life isn't the most perfect, that's your home. And it throws kids into a frenzy. They're mixed up about their feelings, and then they're having to be with new rules, new people that they don't know. It can be very, very scary. And you know luckily my friend's daughter that went into foster care, she got into a good home, but she was ready to come home.
Yeah.
She was ready to be back with her mom and be around her family.
Right.
So I can understand, if if there's foster kids out there that run away because they don't know that what they're going through is not normal
Ricky,
for a lot.
your girls were very young when you fostered them, and now they're your daughters. But do you feel like with them being foster children, the first day you met them, do you feel like there was a time period where it took to like get to know each other? Because like I guess I'm just trying to say like, again, we don't know if this is Miranda's case, but in these foster situations where people are running, like I think it's really easy to be like, well, something weird. It's literally just putting a kid in a new house is very, I feel like, destructive to their day-to-day life.
Right. With my older one, she started out as one of my ex-wife's daycare kids when she was 3 months old. So, and then that was in 2004, 2005, 2005, I think it was. And then my younger one, she's their biological sister. She was born in 2006. And we literally brought her home from the hospital when she was a day old because we got a call asking us if we wanted the sister because the judge had already signed the placement order. And we're like, yeah, we want to keep the kids together. I mean, they're sisters,
Yeah.
Right.
But now they're 17 and 19 years old. So.
And so they've lived with you their whole lives, and there's days where they want to walk up, they're mad at you. So like it's turns out being young is tough, and then when you throw like somebody living in a new house, it's going to be double tough. You know what I mean?
Right.
Absolutely. And a lot, from what I understand, a lot of foster homes are group homes, so it's not just the parents and one or two kids.
Yeah.
You're talking like 4, 5, 6 kids,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
they're having to share rooms, they're having to share clothes, they're having to share
Right.
everything.
And
Right.
even if everybody's being great people, it's still weird to
It
be in a
is.
new place with
Yeah.
new people. So I get it. Looks like we got is this a older pick? It looks like a pretty young 16-year-old, but Hunter Gonzalez.
It might have been. I sometimes have to go with the picture that I'm sent,
Right.
but I don't know for sure. It might be. Going back to the foster thing, though, I think with foster kids, a lot of people assume that with foster kids that they're bad kids that got put in foster homes. That's not always the case. Sometimes
No.
they're in foster care because of the actions of the parents, not the kid.
Absolutely.
So, like my two ended up in foster care not because they were bad kids, because they were babies pretty much, but because of the actions of the parents. So, kind kind of have to look at it that way. They're not all bad kids. I mean, yeah, there are some that probably are, but not all of them are. Some of them didn't get put there probably because they wanted to be. Some of them because mom or dad made bad choices.
Yeah, I just
That's
you
the way
know
it
you
is.
see the repeat runners, and like I don't know. Even when I first started doing the show with you, I started wanting to be like, oh, it's the foster care system, and it's just like, nope. That's what happens when and that's not saying that there aren't bad foster care situations, but that's what happens when you take a young person and give them a new address. It's weird. Under the best circumstances, it's just weird energy. It takes a lot of. I'm just thankful that there's families out there that are willing to give it a shot. Like help out and stuff.
Right.
Hunter Gonzalez, Lawrence, Kansas, from June 18th.
Right. Yeah. Lawrence, Kansas, June 18th, 2024. He's 16, 5'9", 130 to 180 pounds, brown hair and blue eyes. Don't have much more than that, but if you have any information regarding Hunter's disappearance, of his whereabouts, please call the Lawrence, Kansas Police Department at 785-843-0250 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get Hunter located and back to where he needs to be.
Was this a detective case, or did a family member hit you up about this one?
I believe this might have been actually a foster case. I believe
foster. Okay. Well, just the weight's so far off, 50-pound different. It's just like wow.
Yeah, and that happens because when I get contacted about some of these kids, the person that contacts me gives me this information. I look on KBI and they have that information. It's like,
but I mean, I couldn't tell you how much my kids weighed right now. Like if God forbid one of them went missing, I would be like anywhere between 70 and 360.
Right.
And I was told by somebody within the system that a lot of times these kids don't, stay in place long enough for foster parents to get accurate information, so they guess. So, yeah, getting accurate information can really be a chore sometimes.
Yeah. Here we go. Haley Davis. I believe we had some relation of hers in the chat earlier.
And this one's actually an updated flyer. I updated it the other day because I had seen where she'd actually had her 20th birthday. So she's missing from Salina, Kansas since July 21st of 2023. And she was 19 when she was missing. She's now 20. 5'6" to 5'7", weighs between 190 and 200 pounds. Has dyed blonde hair and blue eyes. She was last active on social media and last heard from on July 21st. I believe she may still be in Salina, or she may be in the Wichita, Kansas area, which in talking to her brother, he stated she was last seen in Wichita on July 21st. So we know that. Again, at the time of her disappearance, she was 19. She's now 20. 5'6" to 5'7", weighs between 190 and 200 pounds. Her hair was last known to be dyed bleach blonde, and she has blue eyes. If you have any information regarding Haley's disappearance or her whereabouts, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210 or Crime Stoppers at 785-825-8477 or text SA Tips to Crimes 274-637. Or you can go to www.pd.salina.org and follow the Crime Stoppers link to submit a tip, or call KBI at 785-296-4017. And I was also told by her brother they are doing a candlelight vigil on July 20th at 8:30 at Oakdale Park at the north entrance. So if you're in Salina and you want to attend that vigil, again, it's July 20th at 8:30 p.m. That's a Saturday at Oakdale Park at the north entrance. I'm planning on being there. It's my weekend off from work, so I'm planning on being there myself. So if you have any information on her case, though, please get it in. It's coming up on a year next month, so we need to get her found and brought home.
Absolutely.
So 19, she goes missing. So I learn about these cases with the audience. Is this a situation, because I know you're talking to her brother, and pardon me for my ignorance, but is it a situation where like her next of kin feels like she's maybe missing on her own volition, or is this like 100% they're 100% freaked out that maybe like something malicious happened, I guess? Because 19 is an age where, maybe you're like, you know what, I'm not going to talk to my family for a while. I'm going to go do I guess like where are we at there?
Well, the thing with this, she does have a young child. So we know that. But as far as, I'm not sure what their thought process is as far as whether they think something, nefarious happened or not. Well, here we go. Here's the first. Her
Okay.
brother saying that it's her year of remembrance, and then he says definitely something bad happened.
Okay. Again, because and I just want to know because like me at 19, I definitely like didn't call home for a while. You know, like I just wanted to know like, is this something where they're just worried that maybe she's self-harming, not in the way where like actually self-harming in the way of not caring enough to keep in contact with their families, but it does sound like they think something nefarious happened, which 19 years old missing, that's pretty scary,
Right.
It is. You know,
Yeah.
I was 19 and I'd lost my mom, my grandma, and I was like, I mean, I had my aunts and uncles, but I was all alone. And I moved to Fort Worth, Texas.
Yikes.
It was
He's also
scary.
saying nobody wants to say anything, but definitely something bad. Yeah,
Oh,
there's
so
been rumor
sad.
going around over the last almost year, and if you buy into any of the rumors, it doesn't sound good for sure.
Well, if you want to link her brother with me, I have a little side podcast that I do where we do a little bit deeper searches than we're comfortable with doing on this broadcast. But I'd love to help you out in any way that I can. Definitely scary to have a 19-year-old just out there. 19's young for like.
It is.
I mean, it's not young, but it's young. Like
It is.
just in the basic, like your brain doesn't stop developing until 24, 25. So like until your brain's done developing, like you're walking around with like a half cooked brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's young. It's young and it's scary.
Yeah, my oldest
Yeah.
is 20. She'll be 21 next month. And I couldn't imagine her being out on her own.
Yeah.
You're talking about your daughter that I know?
Yes.
Oh yeah. She's
Yeah, same with my older daughter. She's 19, be 20 in October, and she with stuff that she's got going on, she's intellectually disabled, and she lives with me, and if anything happens to me, she's gonna have to go into assisted living, so she won't be able to function on her own.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah,
although she's out on a date right now, so
I think she's fine. She's been on this show many times. Just in the background, she'll say stuff,
yeah,
and then when we're not live, and she knows it's okay to talk, boy,
Right.
does she talk! She's hilarious. She's
Yeah.
pretty funny kid.
I mean, she was basically a meth baby, but I mean, so she does deal with a lot. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, she's funny, man. Like
she is funny.
She's hilarious. Like whenever she's just being herself, when she knows I can hear her, but it's just you and her, and you're hanging out working on the show, and she's a funny kid, man. Well, I guess kid. She's older now, but we've been doing the show a long time, Rick. Ashton McDonald, though, 17 years old, Topeka, Kansas.
He missing since June 14th, 2024. Again, he's 17, 5'10 to 6'2, 160 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. There's a case of, got information from one person saying this height. KBI says that height. So, does have black hair and brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Ashton's disappearance, his whereabouts, please call the Topeka, Kansas Police Department at 785-368-9200 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. See if we can't get Ashton located and back to where he needs to be. And I did do one other flyer for him late last year, I think it was. So, yep.
Topeka's huge. I went there a few years ago and just to play a gig, and I forget what bar we played at. Oh yeah, dude, the Booby Trap. We played there, and it's just like it's just on the big grand scheme of things, it's nothing, But I just remember I'm from Elkhart. I just remember going there and just being like, this place is like too big. Like I want to go home.
Absolutely.
I've been there a couple times.
I've been there once, and it was for a wedding, and I was so lost. I wouldn't have been able to go anywhere because I was like, how did I get here?
So many people. Salina's bad too. Like I haven't been there in 15 years, but I remember thinking the same thing. Like this town's too big, man.
Well, when I went, I'd never really been anywhere besides Elkhart. I mean, I'd lived in Fort Worth for a little bit, but I lived with my cousin, and she took me everywhere because I couldn't even drive down the street without getting lost. And, I got to Salina, and I was like, I drove around for like an hour and a half trying to find the address that I
wow.
needed. And I was like, okay, God, if I can't find it, I'm going home. And as I was driving by, there was a big old sign that said Ashby House. And I was like, okay, I found it.
There's
Never
a sign
mind.
that said hope here.
Exactly. And,
I
like I
never
said,
got
I was
that.
there for 2.5 years, but
I
I
never
was
got
lucky because my peers always needed somewhere to, needed to go somewhere. So I got to know Salina real quick.
I'm supposed to go see Rick soon. Maybe I'll make you go with me so you can I won't get lost. Speaking of Kansas towns I know of but have never visited, Pittsburgh, Kansas. I want to visit there. I hear it's unique. I hear it's they got like a college there. I have a few friends that went to like art school there.
Yeah,
I've
Pittsburgh State
only
University.
heard a little bit about it, but
Home of the Gorillas. Yep. Yeah. All right. And this one here is Samuel Manrose. He is missing from Pittsburgh, Kansas since June 21st, 2024. He's 16 years old. And I can't get this thing to go away. He is 5'9", 150 pounds, blonde hair, blue eyes. If you have any information regarding Samuel's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Pittsburgh, Kansas Police Department at 620-231-1700 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can get Samuel located and back to where he needs to be.
$16.
Yep.
such a tender age.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I always try to harp on this, and I know it makes me old, but like you see, and again, like they use the word runaway. So like, which usually that's a horrible word because it makes most police be like, they'll be back, which is not always the case. And it's a horrible word to use, but that's it is what it is. But I see these young people ages like 16, 17 that are like, quote unquote runaways. And like so badly, I just want to like, that movie, Billy Madison, where he grabs a little kid. He's like, you don't know what you don't want to go to high school. I just want to grab him and be like, look, I know it sucks, but you're so close to being an adult. Pay attention in school and just get your diploma, and then you'll do it your way. But make good decisions. But like, you're so close to being able to be a quote unquote adult. Like, don't give up now. Like, you're so close to the ending. It's
exactly. I quit school my senior year, and I worry. I mean, my oldest daughter graduated. My middle daughter graduated. My son, he's doing online schooling, and my youngest is still in school. But, Miles was like 10, and he said he was going to quit when he was 16. And he basically did quit school when he was 16. He just started doing the online where it's up to him to do it.
Yeah. Well, if they would have gave me that option back in 100 years ago, now I'd just go out and been like, yeah, online. I'll do it online.
I think we lost Ricky.
Did we lose Ricky? I don't think he's plugged into his. I don't think Ricky is plugged into his. We'll watch his camera down here, but I don't think he's plugged into his. Okay, so we're gonna pull that down. Add him back to the stage. We'll move him to this side, so we still.
For some reason, I got booted out.
I don't think. Did you plug in your Ethernet tonight? I don't think you did.
Yeah, I never unplug it.
Well, you got some janky internet, brother. All right.
It's probably the weather.
Your audio on your end was all wanky, and then all of a sudden, I got booted out and went to the screen saying something about Facebook's new criteria about the followers thing that you were talking about.
Yeah. Well, you've been really. We could hear you, but you've been really pixelated all night. But now you look good. There must have been something going on. Must have been something going on. This is a interesting looking flyer. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, and I have done one for him before as well. Keita Shano, Horned Eagle, missing. He goes by Elijah, missing from Atchison, Kansas, since June 24th, 2024, and he's 17. He's 5'8" to 6 foot, 180 pounds, brown hair, hazel eyes. His last seen around 9 p.m. on the 24th. He did take his dog with him, which is pictured there below. He is an at-risk teenager. He's been in recovery. He does take medication, and without it, he will go through withdrawal symptoms. He's also suicidal and suffers from self-harm. Again, he's 17. He's 5'8" to 6 foot, weighs 180 pounds, brown hair, hazel eyes. He is Native American. If you have any information regarding Elijah's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Atchison, Kansas Police Department at 913-367-4323 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can get Elijah located and back to where he needs to be.
Where's Atchison?
It is over by the Kansas City area, I do believe. Be over by the Kansas City area. Because it falls within the 913 area code, which is the Kansas City metro area. So it's somewhere up in that area. And Shanna Halstead says, hi from Wichita. Hey, Shanna, how you doing? Boy. That's the
Wow.
Dr. Pepper and the Coke. Boy, you're going to town.
I know. I guess they think I'm thirsty.
We have to make sure she's hydrated.
Gotcha.
It's in her contract. No,
I've
I
got
want to
the milk,
send these.
so-
If you can, Ricky, resend me both of the native flyers, and any native flyers you make from now on, go ahead and send them to me and let me know that you're
Okay.
sending those, because I want to start getting those over to Dodgecast, because we've been talking about that for about a year now, and I just need to start working on, putting the word out a little bit more on some of that stuff, because there's a lot of Native Americans that are missing, and they don't get coverage,
Right. This
We
was
got a
Isabel
14-year-old
Ritchie.
here.
Yeah, this is the Wichita one. Isabel Ritchie missing from Wichita since June 18th, 2024. She's 14, 5'4", 160 pounds, brown hair, hazel eyes. Don't have much more than that. So if you have any information regarding Isabel's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-660-9254 or 316-660-9456 or 316-263-6011 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can get Isabel located and back to where she needs to be. Kind of concerning me that she's 14.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I do understand that I'm not the manliest dude ever, but like me at 14 in Wichita, I would have cried. Like,
Oh,
I'd have been
yeah.
like, what? But I'm also from a really small town. I get that, but like,
Exactly.
and this is I'll go dark. I'm gonna go dark. That's what I do. To me, Isabel, and not just Isabel, but any minor that is missing, and adults are allowing them to stay places knowing they're missing, unless there's some part of the story I don't know about where like you're quote unquote protecting them, like, which again, just call the police. Like, I don't.
Absolutely.
That's not good either. Like, I don't like that. And Ricky, we did it at one point, but maybe we should do it again. Maybe next week's show, you could do a little rundown on like what kind of penalties there are for harboring a runaway minor, because it's very hefty penalties.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'll have to find out exactly what the penalties are, but yeah, we can do that.
You need
And
to
I'm
take-
glad you touched on that because I was thinking about that earlier today, about people that are either hiding them or helping them hide
I'll be
or
right
know
back.
where they are and not saying.
Yeah.
You could be charged with harboring a runaway. So,
Hope will be right back. She just had to run and grab her phone real quick. She had a phone call, but she has kids and stuff. When your phone rings, you answer it.
yeah.
We only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more flyers.
Okay.
And then we'll be back next Wednesday with another show. And Hope may be here, May be here, but we're going to be here.
Okay.
But yeah, Alexandria.
Akari. She goes by Akari. Mia Lee, Toronto. She's been from here in Salina, Kansas since June 24th of this year. She's 16, 5'7", 153 pounds, black hair, blue eyes. Again, she goes by Akari. She does have anxiety and depression issues that she does struggle with. And she's 16. She's 5'7", weighs 153 pounds, has dark brown hair that was last known to be dyed black, and blue eyes. Alexandria does have her nose pierced on both sides. Alexandria has a tattoo of a rose behind her ear, a tattoo of a butterfly on the back of her right thigh, a tattoo of a single-line flower bouquet back of her left calf, and a tattoo of H+M on her inner ankle. If you have any information regarding Alexandria's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department, 785-826-7210, or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And I know there was some thought that she might be trying to go to Hutchinson, but not 100% sure on that. So might keep an eye out there and see if we can't get her back to where she needs to be.
These look kind of like realistic photos.
Do what?
These kind of look like more realistic photos.
Yeah. The one where she's wearing the glasses there, I just added that one today because I've done a flare for her before, and I swapped out a picture with the one that was.
Oh, so that's more recent.
I was tagged on today.
No, so like obviously there's been filters. Makeup was the first thing. You know, you can change your hair color, you can change your makeup, but then filters really changed the game. But now it's not even filters. Like I'll be scrolling like TikTok and I'll see ads for. It'll show like a person taking a regular picture of them where they look like a human being, and it's like now watch, and then it turns them into like a supermodel, and I'm just like cool. But if that person goes missing, we're gonna be walking around looking for somebody that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Like, can you imagine you go missing and your family's going around town like, have you seen this person? You'd be like, nobody's seen that person. That person's a figment of imagination. That's not like I get. The filters and all, I'm not saying don't do it, but take an occasional picture of yourself every once in a while. Send it to someone you trust. Hey, just in case I go missing, this is what I actually look like, you know?
Well, you know, I mean, as a woman, I color my hair, obviously, you know, and you never know. I mean, sometimes I'm blonde, sometimes I'm a redhead. You just never know. And it is kind of scary, you know, if I did go missing, because my natural color is brown. Well, and I'm old now, so I got gray in it. But, you know, I mean, if you're out there long enough, your hair's going to grow out. And if you're a runaway or you're out there just kind of lost in your head, you ain't going to have money to go get hair dye. You're not going to have money to go get this or that. So, you know, it's really scary that, you know, you don't have any current pictures with their natural features.
It's very scary. Go ahead and read that comment, Rick.
It's Helen Dawes. She said, "This is Helen Dawes from Wichita, Kansas. Police didn't even locate my daughter. I had to find her myself, in which she was staying with some random 29-year-old man and his mother. Something has to be done about this. Anyone out there can help put an end to all the minors running away from the system. A lot of these minors are missing in Wichita from St. Francis. DCF and St. Francis should be held accountable."
Yeah.
She followed up with, they should be held accountable. Yeah.
They should be, you know.
She's not the first person to be upset with DCF publicly. Like, I think, you know, it's one of those things, you know, like it's just through laws of like numbers, it's there. Any group of people has to have bad apples in it, you know. So I think there's been enough bad apple situations with DCF to make them, you know, definitely something that people would look at. So, hey, I want to make sure this is on the up and up.
Exactly. You know, I mean, I've had my dealings with DCF. I've had my dealings with St. Francis. And, you know, what most people don't understand is the caseworkers, they have an extensive load on their table.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and they're human. Sometimes they make mistakes. You know, I mean, and it's really hard, especially when you are on the bad side of, you know, your child being taken away and something happening to your child while they were in DCF or St. Francis care. You tend to blame the system for it. You know, it happens. We're human. We make mistakes. We may not always do the right thing, but we think at the time that it is the right thing. You know, and maybe you didn't make the right choice or the right decision. That's what got DCF and St. Francis involved in the first place. Granted, I think some of the, you know, there needs to be better what do I want to say?
Well, it's just like I said, anytime, like it's on paper, it's great, but you have like one bad employee and it could just wreck so much positive work and stuff.
It does.
And there's a lot of people that have bad DCF stories, but I do think that you're right. Like, you should start your DCF story with accountability. Like, well, here's why I was dealing with DCF. You know what I mean?
I was lucky when I had to deal with DCF when my kids were little, that my caseworker and my St. Francis worker, I got a good group of people to help me. They didn't come in and just rip my kids away from me. They were like, okay, let's work on this, and I had a weekly visit from my St. Francis caseworker where he would come in, and every week he'd bring me something else to like hang on the walls as far as affirmations or, little sayings like, I'm only human. I'd make mistakes. It's okay. I'm not perfect, and I got lucky because I know a lot of people don't get lucky.
Yeah.
Right.
It's rough, but like it's at the end of the day, like I'm glad programs like that exist, but good luck with it being perfect.
Exactly. And as a parent or even just an outsider looking in, you really need to put yourself in a position of, okay, if it was your choice, what would you decide?
Right.
Because it's not always an easy decision. And sometimes we screw up and we put a child in a bad situation that causes to their death or their harm or something like that. That person has to live with that knowledge that, because of their decision, this happened.
Yeah.
So, as much as we want to blame the system and the caseworkers and stuff like that, just accountability all around.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to be accountable for that child because that child is not able to make its own decision.
Here we go. Another very...
Helen goes on to say they took her daughter on a whim and no charges have ever been filed, so they're just keeping her in the system. They've conditioned
That happens a lot too.
They've been harassing her for 11 years. They come in and out of my life always. I'll be straight up. I used to be a drug addict. I've been sober for 3 years. Every time my life was bad, they were never there. Every time I was getting my life together, had everything good going, they were there.
Yeah.
I've had 8 caseworkers. The last one we got has been a true saint.
Hope you're new to this audience. I'll let you share to that comment as much as you want to share to that comment.
And that's kind of like I was saying, sometimes you get the bad, it's unfortunate. It really is, because it does feel like when you are getting your life together and you're sober and you finally got a job and you got a place to live, that's when somebody else makes a ruckus and then DCF or whoever is back in your life wreaking havoc.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really hard. I'm proud of you for being sober for 3 years. That takes a lot of guts. Mm-hmm. And I understand, it's been a fight. Keep fighting. Your kids are worth it. And eventually they will, either...
They gave her boys back to their bio father who has child abuse charges. Oh, man.
Jeez.
That is so sad, and I am so sorry. I'll keep you in my prayers, hon.
Then Terry Glenn says, hello, Rick and Hope. You do a good job keep up the good work you do, Terry Glenn. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Gina Bridget Cyphers. 3 cases left, everybody. Ricky's going to pray. We'll get out of here. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week. We'll probably maybe try it around 8 next or 8:30. No, 8:30 maybe, but maybe just a little earlier. But thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks to anybody who's watching the show later on in the week. And again, tune into a 7-Day Circle with Hope and May on Apple or Spotify. Rick, tell the audience about Gina Bridget Cyphers.
Yeah, this is another Salina unsolved homicide. Gina Bridget Cyphers. She was 24 years old with an infant son. By all accounts, Gina Cyphers was a loving mother and a good person. It was December 28, 1995. Gina dropped off her 15-month-old son at a daycare program called Morning Out for Moms at a Salina church. When she didn't return a couple hours later, the daycare called Gina's boyfriend at work. He went to the mobile home they shared and found Gina brutally murdered. The baby was suddenly without a mom, and police were left with a case that has proven to be a tough one. It's obviously been tough. It's been since 1995. The national newspaper report said she was stabbed, but police are still keeping a lot of details secret. They say there have been a lot of leads that have gone nowhere. If you have any information on Gina's death, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210 or call Crime Stoppers at 785-825-8477 or text SA Tips to crimes 274637 or go to www.pd.salina.org and follow the Crime Stoppers link to submit your tip. And you may receive a cash reward up to $1,000. You're not required to give your name or call KBI at 800-572-7463. There is also a governor's reward of $5,000 available for the arrest and conviction of the person or persons responsible for Gina's death. So again, if you have any information, no matter how small that little tidbit of information might be, please call that in.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you a hypothetical question, Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
So say somebody went to this town and just started asking questions all over town and figured out what everybody's already talking about and got it put together cohesively where you weren't a cop. Do you think they would pay that out? Like if you could point them where to go and you have nothing to do with the case, you just went there and asked the right questions? Because what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing all these governor's rewards and I'm like, I'm a nosy dude. I bet if I went to that town and started, I think I could, because the thing is me and Hope are from a small town. Ricky, you're from any of these unsolved homicide cases. It's not like nobody's ever said anything. People talk about their suspicions all the time, and a lot of times their suspicions are right, but they never talk about them to the people they need to talk to them about. The Suzanne Johnson case, there was nothing on the internet when I started that in 2015. There was just a picture of her headstone. Last night I saw some guy has done like an entire documentary about her. Like this is what I'm talking about here, but like is that like a job for somebody to go out and try to chase down who did these horrible things?
Well, I'm a firm believer that somebody always knows something. So
absolutely,
I'm sure it'd be a lot harder now because you can see on the flyer there where she was living was a trailer and a trailer park. That trailer park no longer exists. It's a big, huge empty lot now. So the trailer faced to the south, and you can see part of the street there. But south across the street from that trailer park, there is a line of houses there. So I mean, maybe somebody living over there might have seen or heard something. I don't know. I don't know if it's still all the same residents or not.
I don't think many people who do these heinous things, I don't think they do them and never talk about them. I think they talk about them often around people that they are 100% sure are scared enough of them to never say a word about it to anybody that could do anything about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've heard somebody brag they've killed somebody. I don't know if it was true, but
yeah. And Helen was saying, I appreciate you guys for doing this for the missing girls here in Wichita. When my little girl went missing, I was scared I'd never see her again. I didn't get barely any sleep for 5 days. She was missing. Well, you're very welcome.
Yeah.
Not good.
We've been doing this podcast for I'm not sure how many years now, but 3 or 4 years now.
Since 2020. So we're going on 4 years.
And I've been doing the page itself for 12 years. So I'm going to keep doing it until I've always said this, and I'm going to say it again. I'm going to keep doing this too. Either my services aren't needed or until God decides it's time for me to come home, whichever one comes first. So
yeah,
that's my take on it. This is another unsolved homicide in Salina. I only live like 2.5 blocks away from where this one happened when it happened. Wow. This is Nellie Mae Hubbard, March 14th, 1981. Her murder still is unsolved since then. Happened on March 14, 1981. She was found deceased in her residence at 1008 East Elm. She was on the cot that she slept in her living room. She was covered with a sheet, and the scarf she usually wore was found on the floor. Hubbard put up a struggle during her attack, and ultimately Nellie died of asphyxiation. She also suffered 8 broken ribs. One was broken in 2 places. She also had a broken bone in her throat. She had an injury on the back of her skull, and she also had bruises on her arms, and there was evidence of other internal injuries. Upon searching Nellie's home, investigators found $93,000 in cash and over $100,000 in CDs, certificates of deposits, and a large quantity of silver coins that dated back to 1886. Investigators also discovered that Nellie's home was filled with miscellaneous household items, trash, and other clutter that made 2 bedrooms completely unusable. Nellie Hubbard deserves to be able to rest in peace. Says, please help bring her killer to justice. And if you have any information regarding her murder, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210, or Crime Stoppers at 785-825-8477, or text SA Tips to Crimes, which is 274637, or visit www.pd.salina.org. Follow the Crime Stoppers link to submit a tip, or call KBI at 1-800-572-7463. I wish I could find better photos of Nellie. All I could find was that little one, the one that I have there that I clipped out of an article, out of a Salina Journal on microfilm from the library website. And the one on the left apparently is a nursing school photo from the mid-1920s. And the one on the right is a 1979 birthday photo when she was 77. So,
Wow.
yeah, I can't find anything better. I've tried, and I'm still trying to talk. The lighter that they found in her body, I got those photos from the detective. And if you look at the one on the left where the lighter is closed, you can still see fingerprint dust on the top of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. All I could find originally on that darn thing was just the black and white from a newspaper clipping from the library archives, and it wasn't even right. It wasn't even the same lighter. It was one that looked like it, but it wasn't the actual one. So just on a whim, I emailed the detective and asked him if they could send me a picture of the one they had like it. And he said, "Let me see what I could do." And he found the actual lighter. They'd gotten it back from Topeka from KBI, and you can still see the fingerprint dust on it. So I would hope they could take that wheel and swab it for DNA and see if there's any DNA on that wheel.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, they didn't take a lot of pictures back then. They just took like one. That was it.
So I was grateful that I got those pictures of that lighter. And Ellen.
2 more cases, everybody. Then we are going to get out of here. Ricky will pray, obviously, for all of our people that are missing tonight. And yeah.
And Ellen Doss is saying, someone talk about Alex LaRusso. I grew up with that kid. Yeah,
Wow.
we will definitely cover his case next week. I'll make sure to get him on next week. It's been a while since we talked about him, and that's another Salina case that needs covered, as well as Anthony Siniscali is another one, and there's some other unsolved homicides too, and that kind of thing. No, Helen, they have not yet ever found him. And I believe they think foul play may be possible in his case as well, because they did find the vehicle that he was driving on some farm somewhere northwest of Salina, and it still had all his belongings, including his wheelchair inside of it. So that's not looking good in his case either. So, but we'll cover it more next week. This is Beverly Logan, another unsolved homicide here in town from January 21st, 2008. The police department responded to 1200 East Iron to check the welfare of Beverly Logan. And officers found the front door was ajar, and Beverly was deceased in the kitchen. It was apparent to the investigating officers she was the victim of a brutal attack. Homicide occurred around noon on a Monday next door to a heavily patronized convenience store on a major arterial street, it's now a Casey's general store. I can't remember if back then if it was still a Green Lantern or not. But it's right there on the corner of Iron and Ohio. The convenience store, her house was a block east of that, on the corner of Iron, and I can't think of the side street. I'll have to look. But a lot of traffic there. There's 2 apartment complexes or apartment buildings right across the street from her house and stuff, and it's just crazy. Her murder's been extensively investigated by the Salina, Kansas Police Department, and investigation is ongoing. There have been no viable suspects developed. Early on, they released a composite of who they thought was a person of interest, and then they retracted it and said, nope, it's not a person of interest, which I thought was kind of weird. But if you have any information regarding Beverly's death, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210, or call Crime Stoppers at 785-825-8477, or text SA Tips to Crimes, which is 274637. Or visit www.pd.salina.org and follow the Crime Stoppers link to submit a tip. You may receive a reward of up to $1,000, and you're not required to give your name. or you can call the KBI as well on that one. Yeah, give them your information as well. Let's see if we can't get justice for Beverly and her family and friends.
Absolutely.
And then that's the last one, man. We've already covered Catherine Adams. So a lot of Salina cases today. Not good. Not good.
Yeah. Heather is saying she's surprised that Nellie's case isn't in the deck of cards. Hopefully, if they do a second deck.
I wish I could get my hands on the cards from Oklahoma and Kansas. You learn so much off of them, really.
I do have a deck of the Kansas cards only because when they were developing that deck, they messaged me and asked me for case suggestions, and I sent them like 35 flyers. So,
oh wow!
So they did send me actually 2 decks, and I gave one to my brother, and I kept the other one. But
right.
And if you go to the KDoc page, if you Google Kansas cold case playing cards, it'll take you to the KDoc page for that, and there's a link to Kansas Missing and Unsolved there as a resource link. So they did put me on there as a resource link.
That's cool. I did go onto the website because I was going to see if I could get them to, if I could buy some cards, and you have to be a facility like, a jail or something like that to get them. And I'm like, does it count that I did time? They
told me early on that what they were going to do is they were going to replace all the standard decks with these cold case playing cards in the jails and the prisons around the state. Yes. And they were going to look at trying to make them publicly available. So hopefully
that would also be awesome. But I know, being in an Oklahoma prison, there was a couple of Oklahoma cases that were solved because somebody was playing cards and was like, hey, I know about this.
Right.
So, it's a good thing that they do those.
It's honestly one of the smartest ideas I've ever heard. When Ricky told me about that, he's like, they asked me to give him flyers for this. And then he told me what it was. I was like, okay, that's like a big brain. Because, you're right.
Damn.
I'm guessing people in prison, they're guessing there's they pick up on stuff that they hear from. And again, if it's something where it's, oh, I did this thing where nobody was hurt, it's different. But when you overhear somebody being like, oh, I took a child's life, or I caused mayhem to, even criminals, you learn that with Danny Masterson going to prison and people, the guy from 70 show, even hardened criminals respect the laws of just don't mess with women or children, don't murder anybody for no reason. So even in prison, you're not safe from justice. There is people in prison. So I think that having those cards and show again, because I don't know, I've never been to prison, but I'm guessing when you get there, it's not your first day of home. You're hi, I'm such and such, and what I did. I'm sure
no,
it's good to let people know, hey, it's a great idea. But Ricky, we do have to get out of here, man. But I want you to do what we do every week and pray for everybody that's missing, and then everybody will be back next week at 8:30 for KMU Pod.
Okay. Real quick, Roxanne saying they sell the cards for all the states that have them on eBay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my brother actually picked up a few Florida ones off eBay, so I have 3 Florida decks in different years. But yeah. But Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together to go over these cases tonight, these missing people and these unsolved homicides, and just pray that they reach the right ears with the right hearts to do the right things and make the calls that they need to make to get that information in to bring these people home and to bring people to justice. Until we see each other again next week, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, God bless, and amen.
Amen.
Have a good night.